The movie opens with Sung Jin-Woo leading a team of hunters into a dark and eerie S-rank dungeon, their flashlights flickering against the damp stone walls as they proceed cautiously. Jin-Woo, the weakest hunter, walks at the back, gripping his dagger tightly, determined to make money for his mother's hospital bills. The team, led by Sung Jin-Woo, enters a massive chamber adorned with intricate golden engravings and a colossal statue of God sitting on a throne, its multiple eyes shut. Suddenly, the dungeon gate slams shut, trapping them inside. Panic spreads through the group, and before they can react, the statue of God's eyes slowly open, glowing ominously. A deep, stone-grinding sound fills the air as the smaller statues surrounding the throne begin to move at terrifying speed. In an instant, one hunter is grabbed by the throat and mercilessly killed, his head twisted with a sickening crack. The massacre begins as the statues slaughter the hunters, cutting through them with terrifying precision. Screams fill the chamber as blood splatters against the stone floor. Jin-Woo barely dodges a swinging stone blade, watching in horror as his teammates fall one by one. Desperation takes hold when a few survivors spot an altar with a message carved into it, revealing the 3 rules of the dungeon. Praise the Lord, sing his name, prove your devotion. Realizing they must follow the rules to survive, the remaining hunters drop to their knees in praise, halting the slaughter for a brief moment. But then, the statue of God raises its hand, signaling the final rule. A sacrifice must be made. A massive stone sword descends, piercing the remaining hunters, their bodies falling lifeless to the ground. Jin-Woo, gravely wounded and barely able to stand, collapses onto the blood-soaked floor, his breath ragged, his vision darkening. As his consciousness fades, a mysterious floating blue screen appears before him, glowing faintly. "You have met the requirements to become a player," it reads. Weakly, he blinks, barely comprehending the message. "Would you like to accept?" With the last ounce of his strength, Jin-Woo raises his bloodied hand and presses yes. The screen vanishes, and a blinding light engulfs him. For a few seconds, everything is silent and dark. Then suddenly, Jin-Woo's eyes shoot open. His wounds begin to heal, his body feeling strangely stronger. "Congratulations, player. You have now entered the system," a robotic voice announces. The camera zooms out, revealing a completely transformed Jin-Woo, reborn into something far greater than before. His journey has just begun. Jin-Woo, now bound to the mysterious system, begins an unstoppable rise in power. Unlike before, when he was the weakest hunter struggling to survive, he now clears dungeons with terrifying ease, his strength increasing exponentially with each battle. Every monster he slays, every quest he completes, and every dungeon he conquers rewards him with experience points, stat boosts, and new abilities. His once fragile body transforms into that of a warrior. His reflexes sharpen like a blade, and his mere presence begins to exude an aura of dominance. But the true turning point comes when he unlocks a unique necromancer ability, an ability unlike anything seen before, one that grants him control over the dead. Instead of simply killing his enemies, he can now revive them as his eternal shadow soldiers, bound to his will. His first and most loyal soldier is Igris, a powerful crimson-armored knight who once ruled the floors of a high-level dungeon. With unmatched swordsmanship and unwavering loyalty, Igris becomes Jin-Woo's right-hand warrior, leading his ever-growing army into battle. As Jin-Woo continues his dungeon raids, he revives Iron, a towering, heavily armored tank fighter with an unstoppable brute force. But his most terrifying addition comes after the brutal Jeju Island raid, where he defeats the monstrous Ant King, a creature so powerful that it took down multiple S-rank hunters with ease. Instead of letting the corpse go to waste, Jin-Woo resurrects it as Baru, a monstrous, high-speed insectoid warrior with razor-sharp claws and overwhelming strength. With these three at the forefront and thousands of shadow soldiers behind them, Jin-Woo no longer fights alone, he leads an army of the dead. Meanwhile, his actions do not go unnoticed. The Hunter Association, the world's governing body for awakened individuals, begins to take an intense interest in him. Once ignored and ridiculed as the weakest E-rank hunter, he is now a mystery. A hunter who seemingly appeared from nowhere, with power so immense that even S-rank hunters hesitate to challenge him. Rumors spread like wildfire, and soon the world begins to wonder, who is Sung Jin-Woo? However, far beyond the eyes of humanity, something far more dangerous is stirring. The Monarchs, godlike entities who thrive on chaos and destruction, have been watching from the shadows. They sense the awakening of the Shadow Monarch, a power they believe to be lost forever. And with Jin-Woo unknowingly stepping into the role of their greatest enemy, the Monarchs begin their move. What was once a hidden conflict between the Monarchs and their celestial adversaries, the rulers, is now about to spill into the human world, and Jin-Woo is at the very center of the impending war. Jeju Island, once a peaceful region, becomes a nightmare as a deadly S-rank dungeon opens, unleashing an unstoppable swarm of monstrous magic beasts, giant ants with near indestructible bodies and terrifying intelligence. For years, these creatures have slaughtered every hunter sent to stop them, turning Jeju into a forbidden land. A graveyard for those who dared to challenge the Ant King, the hive's ruler and the strongest of them all. This monstrous being, larger and more powerful than any known beast, exhibits an inhuman level of intelligence, leading its army with ruthless precision. It's not just a mindless monster, it's a predator, a nightmare given form. And now it threatens to spread its devastation beyond Jeju, putting all of Korea at risk. Determined to put an end to this reign of terror, the world's strongest S-rank hunters unite for a final assault. Choi Jong-in, Baek Yoon-ho, and other elite hunters lead the charge, knowing this is their last chance. Among them stands Sung Jin-Woo, the mysterious new S-rank hunter who has already begun to shake the foundations of the hunter world. As the team breaches the dungeon, an all-out war erupts. Hunters versus the ant army. The battlefield turns into a scene of chaos, with powerful flames, devastating shockwaves, and sheer brute force tearing through the swarm. However, no matter how many ants are killed, more keep coming, overwhelming even the most elite hunters. Then, with a deafening roar, the Ant King himself descends, his crimson eyes locked onto the intruders, his aura radiating pure killing intent. The final battle begins as the Ant King lunges at Jin-Woo, moving with terrifying speed and precision. Each strike from the creature shatters the ground, its claws slicing through the air like blades of death. Jin-Woo barely evades, dodging with lightning-fast reflexes, countering with his dual daggers in a deadly dance of offense and defense. But the Ant King isn't just fast, it's brutally strong, its every attack forcing Jin-Woo to push himself to the limit. However, Jin-Woo isn't alone. With a dark command, he summons Baru, the fallen former Ant King now reborn as his shadow soldier. The Ants' own king returns as their enemy, and for the first time, the Ant King shows fear. With Baru leading the charge, the tide turns. The two Ant Monarchs clash in a battle of sheer dominance, their monstrous speed creating after-images as they tear through the battlefield. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo seizes his chance, activating Dagger Rush, a blinding flurry of high-speed slashes that rip through the Ant King's defenses. With one final devastating strike, Jin-Woo plunges his dagger straight into the beast's heart, its monstrous body convulsing violently before collapsing to the ground. The once unstoppable ruler of Jeju Island is dead. As the dust settles, Jin-Woo extends his hand, the dark mist of necromantic power swirling around him. In that moment, the Ant King's body begins to twitch. It is no longer a monster, no longer a predator. It is now part of his shadow army. With its power absorbed and the ants leaderless and in disarray, Jeju Island is finally liberated. The world watches in awe. S-rank hunters left speechless, realizing that Sung Jin-Woo is no mere hunter. He is something far greater. Across the world, an ominous presence begins to manifest. The monarchs, godlike entities who have long remained hidden in the shadows, now emerge, bringing destruction and chaos in their wake. Cities are reduced to ashes, entire nations tremble as these ancient beings, each wielding unfathomable power, declare war on humanity. Their arrival is not random. They have sensed something that threatens their rule. Sung Jin-Woo, the Shadow Monarch. As one city after another falls, Jin-Woo stands at the center of it all, watching the pieces fall into place. Then, without warning, the sky above him darkens, the air turning heavy with an overwhelming, suffocating aura. From the depths of the void, a colossal figure descends, its very presence shaking the earth. The Dragon Monarch, the strongest and most feared of all monarchs, the ruler of destruction itself, appears before Jin-Woo, his piercing golden eyes burning with an ancient fury. His voice rumbles like thunder, a force so powerful it makes even S-rank hunters collapse in fear. You are an obstacle, Shadow Monarch. Step aside or perish. But Jin-Woo does not flinch. He meets the Dragon Monarch's gaze with unwavering determination, his own aura surging, casting a shadow that stretches endlessly behind him. He knows this is not just a fight for himself, it is a battle for humanity's very survival. The monarchs seek to erase mankind, and he is the only force strong enough to stand in their way. With a slow, deliberate movement, Jin-Woo tightens his grip on his daggers, the air around him distorting under the sheer pressure of his power. Then let's see who steps aside first. The war between monarchs and the Shadow Army has begun. The final war begins as the sky darkens, the world trembling under the sheer power of the two greatest forces in existence, the Monarchs' army and Jin-Woo's Shadow Army. Lightning crackles. The air is thick with the scent of war, and the battlefield stretches as far as the eye can see. Monsters, dragons, demons, and ancient warriors stand on one side, led by the Dragon Monarch, whose golden eyes burn with an unshakable will to destroy. Opposing them is Jin-Woo, standing at the helm of an army born from death itself, millions of shadow soldiers, an unrelenting tide of darkness ready to fight to the bitter end. The battlefield erupts in chaos as the armies clash, sending shockwaves through the earth. In the midst of the war, Igris, Jin-Woo's first and most loyal knight, faces off against the Beast Monarch, a towering, savage creature whose raw strength can shatter mountains. Igris's crimson sword flashes, countering the Beast Monarch's vicious claw strikes with surgical precision. The two warriors exchange blow after blow, neither willing to back down. Elsewhere, Beru, the former Ant King, now the deadliest of Jin-Woo's soldiers, takes on the Plague Monarch, a grotesque, disease-ridden being that spreads death with every movement. Beru's speed is unmatched, his razor-sharp claws slicing through the air, clashing with the monarch's corrupted magic, causing the ground to crumble beneath them. But the true battle lies above the battlefield, where Jin-Woo and the Dragon Monarch face each other in a one-on-one showdown. The very air distorts as their power collides, sending out shockwaves that obliterate the land beneath them. The Dragon Monarch, a being of pure destruction, fights with overwhelming power, his gigantic wings creating storms, his claws tearing through space itself, and his flames capable of turning entire cities to ash. Jin-Woo counters with speed and precision, his daggers flashing like shadows, striking with enough force to make even the mighty monarch stagger. The battle rages on, both warriors refusing to yield. Then, in a devastating moment, the Dragon Monarch lands a crushing blow, sending Jin-Woo crashing to the ground, bloodied and exhausted. As the dust settles, the Dragon Monarch towers over him, victory within reach. "This is the end, Shadow Monarch," he growls, raising his claws for the final strike. But just as all hope seems lost, something awakens within Jin-Woo, a power beyond anything the world has ever seen. His body erupts in dark energy, his very essence evolving into the true Shadow Monarch, the ruler of death itself. The sky is torn apart as millions of new shadow soldiers rise from the battlefield, their eyes glowing with newfound strength. With a single command, his unstoppable army charges, overwhelming the Monarch's forces in a matter of moments. The final clash begins as Jin-Woo, now in his ultimate form, launches himself at the Dragon Monarch, his blade slicing through reality itself. The Monarch roars, unleashing his strongest attack, a torrent of dragon flames that could erase existence. But Jin-Woo doesn't stop. He dashes through the fire, his silhouette flickering like a shadow before plunging his blade straight into the Dragon Monarch's core. A massive explosion erupts, shaking the very fabric of the world. As the light fades, the Dragon Monarch's gigantic body begins to dissolve, his once unshakable power now reduced to nothing. Jin-Woo stands victorious. With the Monarchs defeated, the war is over. The sky clears, the battlefield falls silent, and humanity is saved. The Shadow Monarch has fulfilled his destiny, but as he looks upon his army, he knows this is only the beginning of his legend. As the dust settles and the echoes of war fade, the world begins to recover from the devastation left in the wake of the final war. The Monarchs are no more, their once great rule reduced to nothing but a memory. The skies are clear again, cities rise from the ruins, and for the first time in ages, humanity breathes a sigh of relief. The legend of Sung Jin-Woo, the Shadow Monarch who saved the world, spreads across the globe. But there is one mystery that remains unanswered. Jin-Woo himself is nowhere to be found. In the final moments of battle, just as victory was assured, Jin-Woo vanished into the void, his body consumed by the very power that had made him unstoppable. Some believe he has ascended to another plane of existence, while others fear that he sacrificed himself to ensure the Monarchs never return. His allies, his family, and his army wait, but he does not come back. His shadow still lingers over the world, a reminder that even in peace, his presence remains. However, beneath this newfound peace, whispers begin to spread. Those who have witnessed true power sense something unsettling, a disturbance beyond anything they have ever known. Deep in the corners of reality, something stirs. The war with the Monarchs may be over, but the true battle might have just begun. Post-credit scene. In a vast, empty void, where time and space no longer hold meaning, a figure steps forward. Cloaked in an aura of pure darkness, their eyes glow with an ancient, terrifying power, far beyond that of the Monarchs. A voice echoes through the void, chilling and absolute. The Shadow Monarch was merely the beginning. As the screen fades to black, the faint sound of a heartbeat is heard, slow, steady, waiting. The legend of Jin-Woo is far from over.